Back here in the U.S., newly released data found a sharp jump in the number of police officers killed by gunfire in the line of duty. A total of 126 officers were killed overall in 2014, which is a 24% increase in 2013, when 102 officers were killed. And officers killed by gunfire rose by 56% from 32 last year to 50 in 2014. The National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund compiled and reported the data. Chief Susan Riseling of the University of Wisconsin-Madison represents the National Law Enforcement Partnership to Prevent Gun Violence. It's a coalition of 9 national law enforcement leadership organizations concerned with gun violence. Susan, thank you so much for taking the time to join us.
Thanks. It's nice to be here.
Now, the way the statistics are lined up in the study, that it is an increase, but still just below the average. Can you parcel out the number and the details over the course of the last 2 years in which the two studies you can compare them to?
Well, I think that one of the things that we noticed right away is that the leading cause of law enforcement officers' death in this past year has been due to firearms, where 50 officers were killed by firearms, and then 49 officers were killed during traffic accidents. Oftentimes that's reversed, where traffic accidents actually are a higher toll than firearms. And so that's what has got us focused on this year. It happened like this also in 2011, where more officers were killed by firearms than any other source. And so that, again, has got us to focus on law enforcement safety and what we can do to ensure that law enforcement officers serve the public, but do it in a way that they return to their families at the end of their shifts.
Now, over the course of the years in police work, the technology has gotten better, the use of Kevlar and safer vehicles. To what do you attribute this most recent spike?
Well, unfortunately, the lethality of the weapons that we're facing has also increased. With the technology to prevent death, we also have technology now that allows more bullets to be placed on target in a shorter period of time than we've had before.
Moving along in the terms of what's happened last year, the political climate of the country, do you see people making that connection? Do you make the connection that some people who are supporters of police officers are making now?
I'm not sure I understand your question.
Well, the question is that in this last year, we've seen protests play out across the country as a result of police officers being involved in the deaths of unarmed young men across the country, and the protest that has sprung from that. Today in New York City, there's a connection being made from those protests to a rise in the deaths of police officers across the country. Are you, or can you, make that connection?
I think that it's pretty clear that the death of the 2 New York City police officers just a few weeks ago was connected in some way to the unsettled nature of the relations between African Americans in particular, although all people of color, and the trust in law enforcement. That connection, I think, can be drawn. The others is very sad to say that ambushes are on the increase against police for probably a whole host of reasons. But one of the ways we can prevent a lot of this is by enforcing background checks so that people who do purchase firearms, whether they do it privately or through a licensed dealer, are checked to see if they have a criminal record.
We have about 10, 15, 20 seconds left. It really depends on how short of an answer you can make it, but it's an important question I need to ask you.
Sure.
Moving forward, what do police officers, or what do police officer policy, what do you see moving forward into 2015 as the biggest change that could be made to reduce these deaths, especially when it comes to the deaths that result as a result of confrontation with people in the community?
I think whether it's citizens confronting other citizens, law enforcement, however that plays out, background checks are the #1 thing we could do that close to 90% of the American population agrees with, that before anyone purchases a firearm, whether they do it privately or through a licensed dealer, they should have a background check conducted. And we know that has stopped 2.4 million people who shouldn't have gotten guns from getting guns since it was enacted under the Brady Bill.
Susan Riseling, Chief of Police of the University of Wisconsin-Madison, thank you very much.
Thank you.